Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Sorry you're having trouble with your phone.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I apologize. That doesn't usually happen to me.
That's all right.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I'm a very, very big fan of yours, so this is quite exciting.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, let's start off talking about Cooper's Christmas.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the project?
Basically, I just got a phone call from Mike Beaver, who's a friend of mine, and I had been in Mike and Jason's first movie, which was called Ham and Cheese. So Mike just called me up and said, "Would you mind being in this movie where you're going to be naked and pretending to have sex with a beautiful woman all day?" And I said, "Well, if that's what you want me to do, I'll do it."
That's very gracious of you.
Yeah.
Now, in the film, being this kind of, sort of found video style, with the VHS kind of camcorder being sort of the, the catalyst for the film, did that change the shooting dynamic at all between how you would film, like, say, a more, more traditional TV movie versus this sort of style of filmmaking?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was, because it's sort of it's sort of a conceit. We didn't shoot it on an old VHS camera.
Right.
We shot it on, a good quality camera, and then degraded it to look like an old VHS video camera. But it was like, that everything had to be, the idea that everything had to be from the perspective of this single camera.
Right.
So it definitely, kept that sort of, it's like a funnier version of Cloverfield, I guess.
Right. And then, being that everything was set, back in the 80s, was that just more fuel for the fire in terms of making it funny, or was that kind of challenging to keep everything sort of stuck 2 decades in the past in terms of all the references and what you could and could talk about, kind of phrasing and stuff like that?
Well, I think it was nice that I guess for people who are grew up in the 80s, it was just sort of nice to see all those sort of the technological references to the 80s, and to sort of remember all the things that we didn't have in the 80s that we have now.
Right.
And so I think it gave room for some extra comedy.
Definitely. And was there a lot of improvisation on set, or was it more, more structured of a shoot?
I know. Well, in the the scenes that I did, which was sort of separate from the rest of the movie, we did a lot of sort of improvising and just coming up, or also just coming up with ideas for a little vignettes that we could shoot.
Right. Now, you worked with, Jason Jones and Samantha Bee were kind of the lead roles in the movie, I guess, and they're, obviously married, and they're Daily Show alumni. Were they kind of like a fraternity you had to break into, or was it a very, welcoming kind of experience?
Well, I've known them for a long time. I've known them since long before they were on the Daily Show. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew them when they were sketch comics working in Toronto.
Right.
And they worked out of the same club that the Kids in the Hall started in.
Right.
Back in, on Queen Street in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So, and I used to go see their live shows, and thought they were like, really great sketch group. So it was, it was more like just, working with old friends.
Right. Now, with this movie, obviously you said that, you got involved through a friend of yours, but I'm curious about kind of your sort of path as an actor. You've done pretty much every sort of comedy imaginable, some dramatic roles. What attracts you to a role nowadays in general? How do you choose what parts you're going to take and which ones you don't?
Well, two things. It's the people I'd be working with is a big part of it. Whether I have free time to do it,
right,
and and how much I need the money at the time. That'll also play
a
role in it. Yeah.
And also, in addition to all your on-camera work, I don't know that a lot of people realize you do a pretty decent amount of voiceover work as well. obviously Flick in A Bug's Life, but a lot of animated series and stuff like that. Is there anything that you like about voice acting better than on-camera acting? How do you feel? How are they different?
It's not that there's anything I like better about it. I mean, it's different in that you're only one part of the character. Mm-hmm. You know, you're providing one element of the character, and that's the voice. You know, and I guess a sense of timing. Mm-hmm. And then other people are creating all the physical side of the performance. So you're really collaborating with animators and the director, and you know, in a pretty even way. You're not, you're just one element, and it's fun. Because you just go into a room and you don't have to dress up or put on makeup. You do have to stand in the middle of a room and pretend that things are going on around you.
Right.
And so a lot of times that just feels silly. When you have to pretend to be getting beat up or bounced off a rock, or you spend a lot of time going ooh ah ee, ah. That can start to feel pretty silly.
Sure. And going back to A Bug's Life, when you worked with Pixar on that film, it was their second movie, and now they've kind of gone on to become this huge Hollywood juggernaut movie studio everybody wants to work with. What was that experience like for you? Did you know what Pixar was en route to become?
Well, I knew what they already were because I was a huge fan of Toy Story, and thought that they had and I've always been a big fan of animation, so I was following the stuff they were developing in 3D animation, and thought that they were brilliant and just like great storytellers, and that they'd taken like the technical side of it further than anybody else. So I was excited. I mean, the reason I went into audition not thinking I would get a part in the movie, but just because I wanted to really meet the guys who did the Toy Story.
Right.
And definitely as we were making it, I just knew these people were brilliant. Just incredibly talented and dedicated artists. So, and John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton, who directed A Bug's Life, were just like the coolest guys on earth. So, we've stayed friends, all these years later. Mm-hmm. And in fact, John brought me back in to do Prep and Landing for Disney.
Right.
Because he produced that for ABC. Very proud. I mean, I guess at the time, A Bug's Life, the year it came out, we had the record for the highest Thanksgiving weekend box office grosses.
Right.
And I think Pixar has gone on to break that record every year since then, so no one remembers.
Right. Well, it's still a very well-loved film, so I'm sure you're very proud of it.
I am very, very proud of it. I still watch it every once in a while with my kids.
Great. I do too, actually.
Yeah.